it is time. Nal, Neel, Angad, Jamwan, Hanumanji, it is time. While Lord Hanumanji looks at the Lord, he goes at the top of the Suvela mountain. He calls all the monkeys and all the bears and he says, you all come. While you're standing here, this war is about to start. All monkeys and all bears, he says, start running around, start howling, start growling, start making your sounds, start creating the sounds of joy, start creating the sounds of fear, start creating the sounds of both. Allow Ravana to know that the war is about to begin, and we will begin at this point. And while Lord Hanumanji hails out, Prabhu Ramachandra ki Jai, it is said they start running towards the palace of Lanka. And while Ravana is seeing all the monkeys and bears coming, Hanumanji, he turns to the Lord, he holds his gada, he places his hands together, and he says, Prabhu Ram, Jai Shri Ram. When Lord Hanumanji looked at all the monkeys and all the bears, he says to them at this time, start howling, start growling, start running everywhere, start charging towards Lanka, towards the palace. When the people, the villagers of Lanka, when the villagers of Ravana, they heard the howling of the animals, they heard the howling of the bears and they heard the growlings of the monkeys. At that point, they all gathered at the base of Lanka, at the base of the palace. And all of them started begging now, Ravana, please, give back Sita Devi here. That war is about to begin. We will lose our life. We will lose our families. Ravana, please. And Ravana looked at them and he says, are you scared? Don't you know who I am? Don't be scared. At the end, we will take the heads of the monkeys and we will put it as an ornament in our homes. We will take the skin of the monkeys and the bears and we will use it for clothing. We will take the flesh of these animals and we will feed our children. Don't be scared. Ravana says, we will destroy all of them. And there he calls his army. He says, bring all the dogs, bring all the wolves, bring my army, bring the youngest and the strongest of my army men and line them up and start opening that gate and allow them to leave. Allow this war to begin. If it's a war that they want to fight, how does Prabhu Ramachandra think that he could win or fight someone like me, Ravana? Does he think that he have a chance? At that point, it is said one of the ministers of Ravana kingdom, he walked up to Ravana and he says, Ravana, in the beginning when you brought Sita Devi Mata, you said, how can a mere man with some animals just cross this big ocean and come here? Tere Ravana, the entire army is here. Ravana, take heed. Why don't you give back? Ravana pushed him aside and he says, nobody will talk to me today. Mai Lankesh hu? I am Ravana and nobody will be able to stop me. He says, open the gateways. And while he's about to open the gateways, the monkeys are climbing up the walls. They've been set in all directions. It is said Sri Hanumanji was sent on the western gate of Lanka. It is said Angad was sent on the southern gate of Lanka. Nal and Neel, they went to the eastern gate. Prabhu Shri Ramachandra, Lakshmana, they stood in the northern gate. And at that point, they're about to close in on Ravana. While monkeys and bears are climbing the walls, Ravana opens the gateway and now his young army is about to come out. His young army is about to begin this war and they are fighting. And while the animals, the dogs, the wolves, the monkeys, the bears, they start fighting, friends, the atmosphere becomes dusty. The atmosphere becomes cloudy. They are marching across a field and there's sand that is lifting in the air. And the battle is taking place. It is said for the entire day, the first day of the battle, while the war is taking place, Prabhu Ramachandra, he's releasing arrows upon arrows. It is said thousands and thousands of monkeys and bears and even wolves and dogs and even the army of Ravana, they are dying one by one. And while they are dying, Prabhu Ramachandra, he's fighting the war. The day is about to dawn. It is said the afternoon is about to come. And when Prabhu Ramachandra realizes that 3/4 and more of the army of Ravana has died, he then now signals, he says, Hanumanji, night is about to dawn and the first day of the war is about to be completed. Allow everybody to retreat now. Allow them to come back. Let them save their energies. Ravana is looking above in his palace. And when he looks down, what is he seeing? He's seeing bloodshed. He's seeing dead bodies. And most of what he sees is from his army. He becomes scared for a moment. And there he sits in his chambers and he starts to ponder. While Prabhu Ramachandra, he gathers everybody. Lord Hanumanji goes and he kneels down. And he says, Prabhu, is everything okay now? We are winning day by day. And at this point, you have my strength. Shri Rama Jai Rama Jai Jai Ram. Shri Rama Jai Rama Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. While Ravana peeks out, Ravana is scared, but you know what? He stands at the edge of his banister, and he stands and he peeks out, and he wants to see what is happening with Lord Ram. So he peeks out and he sees everybody. They're sitting and they are now relaxed and they're taking something to eat. They've set up camp and they're now covered and they're all safe. And Ravana is looking and all he could see is how many people died in his army. And he's asking himself in his mind, just like the minister said, who could have thought that a mere humble little man walking in the forest with a bow and arrow, with barely anything, could have left from where he left in Ayodhya and reached to Lanka? He's starting to question, if a mere little human being like that could do that, what will befall me in time? But you know what? Ego is starting to fill him. Never underestimate people. Never underestimate the strength of people. Never underestimate the size of an individual. Spiritually, mentally, emotionally. Never underestimate the people around you. When Ravana, as the king of Lanka, said, a mere man leaving Ayodhya, what could he do? What could monkeys and bears do? I could shoot them down with arrows. He sees an army working together to destroy him. Doubt floods his mind. We underestimate so many times the people in our lives. We underestimate the power that we have within ourselves, the ability to conquer, the ability to rise, the ability to do what we want, the ability to become motivated and inspired, the ability to become someone, to stand strong for who we are and what we represent. Many people will look at us, and from the way we physically look sometimes, they degrade us, they defame us, they look down at us. But the world, my friends, while the world looks at us and puts us down, the saying goes, never judge a book by its cover. It is up to us to stand strong and to become better. Today an individual said something to me in a prayer. That individual said that in the world that we're living today, thousands and thousands of people will suffer. But we have the choice from within to wake up on the inside and say, you know what, I am strong and I will make it through. If mentally, my friends, we have the power to say, I will do well and I will make it through, we will. Doctors have always said that when somebody enters the theater room and somebody enters the hospital with a feisty spirit, with a spirit that is once more filled with energy, that person is more likely to be healed faster than somebody who comes in and they are depressed. When you're depressed, automatically your mind goes down, your energy falls, your inner spirit falls, your weakness becomes more than anything. When you lack confidence in yourself, you will never be able to become successful. But even in the midst of being in the hospital with one of the sickness or the illness or anything in the world, when you have a nice energy aura from within and mentally, you can recover from anything. Tonight, there are many people who may be tuned in on a hospital bed around the world. There are many people who may be in their home, may be quarantined at this time. But even then, take the strength of Hanumanji, hold on to a murti and say, Lord, bless me, bless my home. I may not know where my life will turn to from this point. I do not know which direction I may take from this point onwards. But Lord, I put you first, and I know you will lead me in the right path. Friends, while Ravana thinks about it, Prabhu Rama, he says to Hanumanji, and he says to all those who are there, let us rest. The war will end soon, and we will be victorious. But at this time, we need to rest. Shri Ram Jai Rama Jaya Jaya Ram. Shri Ram Jai Rama Jaya Jaya Ram. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. Shri Ram Jai Rama Jaya Jaya Ram. Jai Shri Ram. Oh Shri Ram Jai Rama Jaya Jaya Ram. Oh Shri Ram Jai Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. Hari Jai Shri Ram. While on that night, my friends, it is said the entire army takes their rest. They take a moment to rest. Sometimes we need, amidst the world of the war that is taking place, we need a moment to recover. Sometimes the world will be throwing so many things at us. The world is ever fighting us every single day. Every single day you wake up, you have a challenge. Maybe your children, maybe your spouse, maybe in your job, maybe in your home, maybe in your relationship. Every day you are having a challenge, and a war is always brewing. A war is always taking place. You wake up and you go out into the world for your job, or you meet the people outside, and the people sometimes they give us an energy, sometimes even wonder, how do we exist in a world that is always fighting a war? And there the answer comes. Prabhu Ramachandra says, in the midst of the war, sometimes you need to take a moment to simply rest and to recover. While all the monkeys and bears, they're lying down, some would rub their wounds. Some will take the bushes that are around and they will create medicine and they will rub their wounds with it. Hanumanji, he will take some of the leaves that he would find and he will rub it together. He will take some of the sand and he will mix it with the water. And will rub it at the base of the feet of Prabhu Ram. Lord, I know you will have to walk again tomorrow. While you find this war, your feet may be parched with the heat of the sun. Have you ever gone on a hot day and walk on the sand on the beach? And the feet burns at that point? Prabhu Ramachandra, he's walking and his feet would burn, it will become red. And Lord Hanumanji will sit the entire night. He will say, Lord, I don't need to rest. I will rub your feet and will make sure you're fine by tomorrow. And while everybody's recovering, we need time sometimes with peace in mind to recover. Night has concluded and the morning is about to break. And while you're preparing for another day of war, listen, my friends. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. Shri Ram Jai Rama Jaya Jaya Ram. Shri Ram Jai Rama Jaya Jaya Ram. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jaya Ram, Jaya 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 Ram, Jaya Jaya Ram, Jaya Jaya Ram, Jaya Jaya Ram. Morning has dawned. The second day of the war is about to take place.